This is the Middlesex Canal, the great artery of commerce, a 27-mile-long waterway which linked Boston to the Merrimack River, Lowell, and all the way to the Concord, New Hampshire. The canal opened for business in 1803 and operated into the 1850s when the railroads and the steam engine took over. In 1830, the Boston and Lowell Railroad was chartered with its route roughly paralleling that of the Middlesex Canal. Within 25 years, the railroad forced the canal out of business. In fact, the railroad's first steam engine was brought from Boston to Lowell for assembly via the Middlesex Canal. This artery helped build the city of Lowell, and as the Industrial Revolution dawned, it drew immigrants, including Kerouac's ancestors and mine, to work in the mills and to search for their destiny in the New World. Not much of a canal here. This is the Knickerbocker Club in South Lowell. This section of Lowell is referred to by the old-timers, especially the French, as Wigginsville. This is a part of Lowell where some of my heritage lies, as my mother grew up on Lawrence Street, just a stone's throw over that way. This section of Lowell is predominantly English and Irish, with a minority population of French, Lithuanians, Poles, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, a real melting pot now. South Lowell was the home of Mary Carney, Kerouac's first love, who wrote in his book, Maggie Cassidy. Others say his first love's name was Mary Coffee, but the majority of opinions is that it was Mary Carney. Since Mary Carney may still be alive and living in South Lowell, I'm not going to go videotape by her house in respect to her privacy. I have a quote from Ian Charles' autobiography on Kerouac. In Maggie Cassidy, the boys were moving in a more or less direct line to a New Year's dance. The dance where young Jackie meets his first love and adolescence, filled with nostalgia for the innocence of his dreams. A book about love denied. Let's go have a beer.
All right.
I gotta lock it. This is St. John's Hospital in Lowell, my birthplace. Below me is the Merrimack River, and across the river, about a half mile from here as the crow flies, is Kerouac's birthplace on Lupine Street, over that way. This is from the town and the city. The town is Galloway. The Merrimack River, broad and placid, flows down to it from the New Hampshire hills, broken at the falls to make frothy havoc on the rocks, foaming on over ancient stone towards a place where the river suddenly swings about in a wide and beautiful basin. Moving on now around the flank of the town, onto places known as Lawrence and Haverhill through a wooded valley, and onto the sea at Plum Island, where the river enters an infinity of waters and is gone. The river is continually fed and made to brim out of endless sources of unfathomable springs. The little children of Galloway sit on the banks of the Merrimack and consider these facts and mysteries. In the wild, echoing, misty March night, Little Mickey Martin kneels at his bedroom window and listens to the river's rush, the distant barking of dogs, the soughing thunder of the falls, and he ponders the wellsprings and sources of his own mysterious life. The grown-ups of Galloways are less concerned with riverside broodings. They work in factories, in shops, in stores and offices, and on the farms all around. The textile factories, built in brick, primly towered, solid, are ranged along the river and the canals, and all the industries hum and shuttle. This is Galloway. This is Lowell. Kerouac Park in downtown Lowell. Well, the only thing Kerouac said about having a park or a statue was if they built one, he'd run naked through it. Don't see any nude people.
But I'm still looking.
This is the corner of Aiken and West 6th Street. This is the intersection where Gerard went to buy his mother some aspirin. We are in Centerville, within a few blocks of where I stand. Most of Visions of Gerard takes place. This is from Visions of Gerard. Mama, you're sick, demurs Gerard. With the gods, with his pietous voice. What are we going to do? Oh, it'll go away. He goes over and lays his head against hers and waits to hear the cure. If I had some aspirin, she says. I'll get you some, Gerard says, at the drugstore. It's too late, she says. It's only 9:30, I'm not afraid. Poor little Gerard, it's too cold, it's too late, she says. No, Tell him I'll dress up good. My hat, my rubbers. Run, go to Old Man Bruno. Ask him for a bottle of aspirin. The money is in my pocketbook. Together, Gerard and I peer and probe into the mysterious pocketbook for the mysterious nickels and dimes that are always there, intermingled with rosaries and gum and powder puffs. Little Gerard runs and puts his muff cap and draws it over his ears and draws on his rubbers with a tragic bent over motion no angels who ever lived on the earth could know. A cold key and a tight lock. Our situation, the skin so warm, thin, the night of winter so broad and cool. So Saskatchewan with advantage. Hurry up, Golden, Mama will be afraid. I'll go get your medicine and you'll be all right, just watch. Gleefully he goes off. The door emits specter into the kitchen. An instant and he slams it. I watch him tumble off. Ballou Street, going down towards West 6th. 4 houses to the firehouse is swept by dusts. The lamp of the corner only serves to accentuate the contrast, the lightness in the general air. The stars above are no help. They twinkle in a vain freeze. The cold sweeps down Gerard's neck. He tries to bundle it. He hurries around the corner and down West 6th Street toward the lights of the big corner at Aiken, Lily, and West 6th, where black gray paint tenements stand with dull brown kitchen lights under the hard stars. Not a soul in sight. A few cruds of old snow stuck in the gutters. A fine world for icebergs and stones. A world not made for men. A world, if made for anything, made for something dead to sympathy. Since sympathizing, they'll not be in it ever. He runs to warm up. Blue Pine Road, Kerouac's birthplace. I think this is it. It might be the Brown House. Let's swing around. Where Gerard went to school. We're about a 5-minute walk from the drugstore we were at a little while ago. This is a predominantly French neighborhood. As with a lot of towns, people were segregated into certain sections by ethnic group. This is from Visions of Gerard. It's a cold, crisp morning in October. Gerard is going to school with his books. Bread and butter, and banana lunch and an apple. I watch him going down Ballou Street alone. Gangs of kids run around. At the end of Ballou Street is a large gravel graveyard of the Green Public School, where because the kids weren't Catholics, the nuns have been telling Gerard and Nin and the kids at the St. Louis de France parochial school that they have tails concealed beneath their trousers, which some of us, I for one, seriously believe. At that street, Gerard turns right to go to St. Louis, which is right there, along 3 wooden fences of bungalows. First, you see the nuns' home, red brick and bright in the morning sun. Then the gloomy edifice of the schoolhouse itself, with its long planks, sorrow halls, and vast basements of urinals and echo calls. And beyond the yards, with its special, I never forget, little inner yard of cinder gravel separated from the big dirt yard, which becomes a field down at Farmer Kenny's meadow, not anymore. By a small granite wall not a foot high that everyone sits on or throws cards against. The big game is card slinging, or the bubblegum cards, with pictures of movie stars and baseball players. Great God, it must have been Vilma Banky and Rogers Hornsby with young faces on the fragrant bubblegum cards. They are flung against the wall, nearest wins. The big game at recess, Gerard comes slowly, ruminating in the bright morn among the happy children. Today his mind is perplexed, and he looks up to the perfectly cloudless, empty blue sky, and wonders what all the brooding and fur is below, what all the yelling, the buildings, the humanity, the concern. Maybe there's nothing at all, he divines, in its lucid pureness. Just like the smoke that comes out of Papa's pipe, the pictures that the smoke makes. All I gotta do is close my eyes and it all goes away. There is no mama, no Taijin, no Tainin. Papa, not me. There's no earth. Look at the perfect sky, it says nothing. Little snivelly Florides is losing a game of cards in the corner. The bullies buffed him out, he's crying. He only thinks of his luck, and his luck is worse. His luck is mixed up in the bad and the poor. Ah, the world, to the other end, is the rectory, where Father Pierre Lamalure, the cure, lives, and other priests, a yellow brick house, awesome to the children, as it is a kind of chalice in itself, and we imagine candle parades in there at night, and snow white lace at breakfast.
Which side's it on? Left?
Left, I think. No, actually, it's I think that was Gerard's house, where a lot of the visions of Gerard takes place, and where his funeral was, where he sat in state in the front porch. I think it... This is the Pawtucket Falls in Lowell. We're on the other side of the river now in Pawtucketville. Across the river, above this impassable stretch of the river, are the canals which connected Lowell to the rest of the 19th century world. I spent a memorable part of my youth here. My grandparents' parents lived about a quarter mile from here on Dunbar Ave. And this is a spot which reminds me of Easter and spring. I would like to read from Visions of Gerard, my favorite words Kerouac wrote. It's windy. Woo! Came the cantankerous rush of spring, when earth will fecundate and get soft and produce forms that are but to die, multiply, and 1,000 splendors sweep across the March sky, and moons with raving moons that you see through drunken pine boughs snapping. When the river with their load and humus gets heavier at the bank because of the melting of the cakey stiffness that had the earth seal locked in her vaunted tomb up hard. And there'll be laughter in the melting earth tonight. And there'll be sawdust trees, women's thighs, river bends, starlight, back porches, more babies, young husbands, beer. They'll be singing in the April treetops. There'll be visitations from the south, from oft-returning species of visitors, with feather tails and beady eyes. Avaricus for the worm, and the worm itself will divide into a billion counterparts and come oozing out of parted sands, black and oily and blue, like as if someone were squeezing the earth from below. There'll be new fish. They'll be there, be himself. All of a sudden, the hard floors of treetops will be warmer, wars and less dry and crackly ones. There'll be rumors and singing down the hillsides as snow melts, running for cover under the bloody light to join the river's big body, so that the ocean will again receive her swollen rent as ever April, yet landlord without end be none the richer, and with such coffers bottomless, how the poorer possible. In the ocean there is a spring, deep and vendorous, we can't estimate. So I sing the surface one, the spring that makes us feel so sad and fair, and morning air brings nostalgic cigarette smoke from holy Hopi smokers. When hats are whipped and finally succumb, coats flap, run their stories out, and vests disappear, and shirt sleeves are hoisted. Of a sudden, April 26th, and so the ball game is on. The time when the earth is black with sap. No end to what you could say about spring. And in that locked-in New England spring is a big event. Coming short, staying, it flows by as fast as a flooded river. We're in Nashua, New Hampshire now. This is the graveyard where the Kerouac family rests, all but Jack. Gerard lies here, but in his lifetime, after his death, there was controversy where Kerouac was to rest. Some wanted to move him up here to Nashua, but he's back in Lowell with his wife. Some visions of Gerard. The daubing, the daubing at eyes by aunts and mothers, their faces squeezing into sections, wishing he hadn't died. Seems to me fitting and proper. It's all part of the show. It's a vast ethereal movie. I'm an extra and Gerard is the hero, and God is directing it from heaven. I see blue wooden fences in the rain and a little man with the mysterious hat, and then my mind swirls, and I see nothing but the swarm of angels in the church, in the form of a sudden myriad illuminated snowflakes of ecstasy. I scoff to think that anybody should cry. I let go a little yell. My mother grabs my face and taps me gently. No, no, no. People gloomily at the funeral have heard the little child's voice. They think he doesn't understand. I want to express somehow, here and now, I see the ecstasy, the divine and perfect ecstasy, reward without end. It has come, has always with us, the formalities of the tomb, our ignorant irrelevancies, most befittingly, gravely conducted by proper, qualified doers and actors and Latin singers. Of course, the boys' choir takes up in the back, and my mother's eyes burst with tears. She could never stand boys singing anyway. Some of them knew Gerard, she announces proudly, to the near-at-hand solemn Emile, and run through him at Marie. The little angels, sing, sing, she thinks, sing with all your hearts. My angels, for my friend Gerard who is dead. My little man, my little sad son, it's for yourselves you sing, angels. I myself hear the boys singing and turn around to see them in the choir loft with their little ooh voices, uplifted and rosy to the black arms of a hypnotist of feeling. By the way, the boys are singing, and by significant rustles you can tell the service and increasing coughs is almost over. Easy enough to cough, 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 and go back home, off to other people's funerals. And all the coughing at the forefront, and the priest flicking the Salurbium incest pot at each flick. In 3 directions, by some magic bell rope signal, the outside roof bell flicks like smoke itself and kicks off a soft kerplang for the edification of the people of Centerville. Gerard has died. Grisly news from the incense pot, curdling so gentle and quiet to the sound of the connecting signal rope. Cack and kerplang, such beautiful music, and I see 3 fumes of music smoke up and float away. Let there be rejoicing. We all get into our cars and slowly weave the parade, and out we go on a long, slow ride along the Merrimack River, by sodden trees, all in their foliage looking sad, to the bridge at Tingsboro and across that to Nashua, entering that little city my parents come from. In a bleak array to the cemetery outside town, where I remember the long gray wall and the glistening boulevard in the rain. And they haul the coffin gently down to the grave ropes, and for all their gentle look, have no gentle job to do. And I lower away, easy does it, in a little hunk of pain into the mud. Roots and plopping pieces show in the dug sides. Men stand around my father in the midst of them, bareheaded, with that goofily helplessness beneath immense and endless skies that say, yeah, down upon the entire scene. My father's curly hair is moist and uncombed, and the lids of his eyes are down where they'll always be. A cold place to kneel, this earth. And he'll kneel again. It's a cold place for knees. Maud and Tynan sitting with me in a black car burst out sobbing as the coffin disappears downward. I turn to them and say, why are you crying? Ty-Jean, you don't understand. You're too young to understand, they wail, seeing my rosy face, my questioning eyes. I look again, the men have stepped a pace aback, expectant an old gravedigger picks up his shovel and closes the book. Sometime in the same night that's everywhere, the same right now, and forevermore. Amen. This is the final resting place of Jack Kerouac. Born in Lowell, his remains rest here in the Edson Cemetery. Not far from here are the remains of many from my family. My grandmother, my grandfather, 2 uncles, my first cousin. They lie together in this same place. This is a spiritual place. Though they have trouble coming to visit. One's mortal remains seem insignificant, yet they draw people back to them. They move us emotionally and cause us to think about life's ultimate destination, death. I would like to make a toast to the memory of Jack Kerouac, a man who wrote what he felt inside. A man who understood the words of Faulkner, who said that life is the process of preparing to be dead for a very long time. I'd like to end my video with the words of Father Spike Morissette of St. Jean de Baptist Church, spoken here in 1969. This is from Ecclesiastes. They shall rest from their words and take their works with them. Jack most excitedly felt he had something to tell the world, and he was determined to do it. Our hope and prayer is that Jack has now found complete liberation, sharing the visions of Gerard. Amen. Hallelujah. Here's one for you, Jack.